Welcome to the WUUA TIB podcast. This is today's free episode. There is also a bonus episode that went up exclusively on our Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/WUUATIB or simply go to wuuatib.com. That's WUUATIB.com. Thank you and enjoy.
Do you want to intro us or?
Yeah, I mean we're introed, man. Welcome to WUUA TIB podcast 7.5 or something. So basically we had 6 fellas, gender neutral fellas together, and we
we had 5 fellas and 1 lady.
Exactly. And now we have 3 and 3 because we wanted to split it up and keep things, less chaotic than they may be sometimes.
I don't know if this is going to be less chaotic. I think, but it'll be interesting at least. So basically, we're both groups are going to hopefully talk about the same stuff, and then we'll kind of mash the podcasts together or have them back to back, so you can hear like the different perspectives from each of the different rooms.
Yeah, I guess we'll just put them back to back probably. Why not? Or we could upload them separately as 7 and 7.5 or something. All right, so what do we have on the docket today? It looks like I didn't submit anything in an unlikely turn of events, but we have our trip to Japan is the first one up here.
I can really talk about that one in depth. I think I'm going to take the lead on that one if that's all right with you guys.
Go ahead. Jump right in there, Hannah. Actually, Hannah, I'm glad that we're in the room with you, because so you weren't there, and so you're like the only one who has any actual, objectivity.
Well, Eggs has the only unique perspective because she only knows about. So basically, this prompt is referring to a trip that we all took after we graduated from college. College.
Yeah.
After we graduated from college to Japan, and we all went. Everybody in the podcast except for Eggs, who, because obviously girlfriends didn't come at that time. And
no girlfriends allowed.
Yeah, boys club only. And and we made she has seen the mini documentary that we
That's
made.
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a documentary.
It's like 45 minutes.
It's really informative.
It is. Yeah. It covered all of the...
That's not a documentary. That's a...
What do you call it? Like
it's a video.
It's a vlog, okay? But it's a fancy vlog. It's a documentary vlog.
Documentary is informative, no?
Documentaries aren't always informative.
I think they're meant to be.
Yeah.
They document something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's a documentary. It's a... yeah, you know what's funny about the fact that we have so much footage? I feel like a lot of that footage was like my footage of just like me annoying everybody with the camera. Like I felt like such a goober, like such a dad with the camera out, like this big ass fucking camera out the entire time we were in Japan. Like I felt, but I think it did like kind of pay off in that now we can look back at that stuff.
You felt like a Japanese tourist in America, but in Japan. I remember.
I don't know if I'd say that, but yeah.
No, because at Harvard, where Eggs and I went, they would bus in like people who came over from Asia, and I remember we were in one of the history museums, and I was with my professor and like a small group, and there were literally a dozen, international people from Asia who were recording us on like dead ass like DSLR video cameras, and we're recording like the professor talking to us. It was really strange, but I guess like
so
if you're gonna go visit Harvard, I guess that's something that you would do.
Yeah,
but sometimes it felt like you were a zoo animal.
What's funny about that is that I don't like. This is an assumption, but they probably don't even like know. They wouldn't know what you were saying or what the professor was saying.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't like speak great English. Yeah. A lot of the tourists.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that... Actually, no, I'm not. I was going to say I'm surprised that Harvard lets so many tours come through, but actually that doesn't surprise me at all, yeah. That seems exactly like what they would do.
Well, anyone would. It's just free publicity.
I guess, yeah. I'm sure they get a cut of that tour money or something. You probably have to have a license
Well,
to
a lot
tour
of
there.
them choose the Crimson Key tour guides to
Like
do
the
the
Harvard
tours.
sponsored tour,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
so
So, who do you think has the worst tourists?
Like internationally, like America,
Yeah.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
America has the worst like cognizance of both other people and other cultures. So clearly,
Yeah.
even if just out of ignorance, we'll be the worst tourists, but we also don't like to be told what to do.
That's
It's
fair.
like in
I will.
Japan where we were telling Sealio that he can't talk on
Oh yeah.
the subways because you're not allowed to talk during commuting hours, and he was so
And he was like,
angry.
"What?
He was like, "What do you
What
mean
are
I
you
can't talk?
saying?
What do you mean I can't
You
talk?"
can't talk on this. Why would I not be able to talk?"
Yeah, he was doing that.
The fuck? Yeah. I will say though, second, I always see like, or whenever I've seen Australian tourists, like they've always been awful, and I've always known that they're Australian because, like, because you can hear them from like a mile away, and they're like, "All right then." So, sorry, excuse that absolutely awful
Maybe they're
Australian accent.
British and you are interpreting their accent wrong,
I get asked if I'm
Right.
Australian a lot.
or South African.
That's
South
less
African.
You know,
common,
you
but
kinda
also common, yeah.
you kinda sound, you got like the Australians have like a certain like kind of type of British accent, sort of.
Yeah, it's not
You know
that
what I'm saying?
it's like a bit sharper.
It's
Yeah.
quite
Like,
different.
It's not
No,
that
so, like,
different.
Quite different.
It's not that
It's
different.
different.
British people have like all sorts of like British people have like really posh accents, and there's like Cockney accents, and there's
Yeah,
so
we
many
do have a
different
lot.
types of different. Yeah, but I feel like Australian is like
It's a
very
type of British.
closely related to like, yeah, it's closely related to one of those.
And
You know,
and South African is like a modulation of all. I feel like you know
that's the weirdest one
like
for sure.
4D
I
cubes.
love South African accents.
Dude,
They're so nice.
only when they're like subtle, okay? Like the real heavy, like
I think we're
the
getting into
real
dangerous
heavy South
territory
African.
here. I'm not sure whether this is gonna come off great.
No, like the no, wait, you know what? I'm sorry. We actually also have to distinguish here. I actually think I agree with you, but I'm actually specifically talking about like the Afrikaner accent. You know what I'm talking about?
I
Like
don't know what that is.
so like I'm talking about like Dutch South African. You know, like
I
D
still don't.
Antwoord?
I don't
No,
even
do you
know.
know like the rapper?
Oh, wait, are they South African?
Yeah, dude.
They got canceled as well, didn't they?
I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised at all, but like
I don't remember what for. I think they did. I think they like beat up somebody in a parking lot. I think they did like a hate crime, I'm pretty sure.
I would
The
not be
D
surprised.
I
They would.
didn't know that they were South. I thought they were like, yeah, I thought they were Dutch or something.
I mean, yeah. So like the Dutch, obviously. So that was. I mean, I don't. I hope I don't have to explain, but like that was the whole like, um, apartheid. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
like most South Africans. So I guess when I said South African accent, like we were talking about the British thing. Like most South Africans don't have that accent because they're not Dutch, because
Yeah.
Right.
they're from Africa. But you know, like the God, I can't remember what they're called. I got Afrikaners or something.
I feel like
Like
somebody who
the
knows what you're
Dutch
talking about
descendants.
will know that you're saying it completely wrong, but I am
Yeah,
not
I'm
that
sure.
person.
That thank God.
Yeah, what do you call the people in Africa? Afrikaners?
No. Yeah. Somebody will know what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, let's move on from
Somebody
this.
more enlightened than us can
Yeah.
clarify.
So back to the Japan trip. Back to the Japan trip. So who
put
Eggs,
this topic?
Seen like I put the topic. I
Okay.
wanted to talk about it. Okay. Eggs, you've seen like the videos that we took there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you have kind of an idea. It was like a fun time, you know, it was like we were just like running around, having fun with each other, like seeing the sights,
Yep.
whatever, taking it in, you know, like the normal kind of like I would say it was a very like run of the mill Japan trip. Am I wrong there?
I've never been to Japan, so I would not know.
I mean,
That's
I don't think it
I
was
guess that's
that. I don't know if it was that run of the mill. I'm like a super basic white person, and I wouldn't have gone to Mount Fuji. Like I would have just gone to
yeah.
Tokyo and
But
Kyoto,
I think a
probably.
lot of people do though
Go
when
to
they
Mount
go.
Fuji.
Yeah, this is one of the sites. It's one of the touristy things
I
to
guess,
see.
yeah. It's kind of out of the way. Like, and there's nothing there. There's no reason to go there except for that.
yeah.
I
mean,
just
I
think
don't
I
know.
might cut it out if I didn't have enough time.
Going to Mount Fuji?
Yeah.
That's funny because I thought that was like that was probably the highlight of like the trip for me at least. One of the highlights. I liked
I
being
guess
in
it was
that
cool to
like we
see it.
went
I
to like
mean, I didn't hike it like you did. Me
I
and
mean we
Grant.
didn't hike Mount Fuji. We were hiking around the mountains in
Yeah, but you
like
know,
in
you
like the
did
little
something.
mountains.
You went pretty high up.
Yeah. We did go high up. And you know like what the fun thing was we saw like a bunch of monkeys and like this weird like fanged deer or horned. Like
What?
it was just like a weird it was like yeah, it was a
Fanged
really
or
weird.
horned?
I can't remember.
You
There's
can't
like a
remember if it had
deer.
fangs or horns?
I can't remember. Yeah. There's a deer that has fangs, and I like for some reason I feel like, oh yeah, we saw that, but like
You saw the
I think
Sasquatch?
I might be completely wrong. I might be completely wrong about it. It was like a weird deer. Okay, just let me just
Okay,
put it
I'll
that
take your
way.
word that you did see. The biggest thing I remember watching that footage was how loud. I thought like, oh, you know, it might be really peaceful to walk up the mountain and be in nature, but it was actually just like screeching bugs, extremely loud, and you couldn't hear
Oh
anything
yeah,
except like
yeah, yeah. Okay, it was not a fanged deer. I did not see a fanged deer. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
was
just
gonna
gonna.
say that sounds like a mix between like some basilisk
You saw a
thing.
centaur?
I mean, fanged deers are real. That's a real thing. It's just we didn't see it. We saw it. It had some weird horns or something. I don't know.
It was probably
weird.
just
It
a
was a weird
very
deer.
Probably
normal deer.
an apparition.
Yeah, it was just.
It's just a standard
just
deer, just chilling.
That's pretty cool though
Wow.
that you guys saw a standard deer.
Wow.
I'm really glad that we went all the way to Japan to see a deer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. My whole point. Okay, one of the reasons I was thinking about this, just to get you back in on the conversation here, Eggs, like, was, like I was reflecting on it and I was like, did we and were we like orientalizing? Do you know what that term means?
You mean were we kind of like fetishizing Japan?
Yes. Like were we like really actually there to like engage with like the culture and like see it as like, you know, without any like lens, or did we just go there to like have Japan be kind of like this like stereotypical backdrop, and like did we like did we fetishize? Did we like
I
just
don't
kind of
think
engage with it
either.
like on like a really surface
think-
level?
I don't think it was super surface level, but I also don't think you went to be like, yeah, let's really understand what it's like to live in Japan. You guys went there to have a great time with each other after finishing college and not being in the same place for the last 4 years. Like it was a boys' trip, and then on the side it was like, okay, where should we go? Japan. That would be really cool. There's got some interesting things. It meets like the interest of all 6 of you, which is hard to do. Like it has something for
Right.
everyone, but I don't think it was fetishizing.
I agree with that in terms of literally any vacation that I would take ever. Except maybe if I like went to Jerusalem or something, I might be on the opposite end of fetishizing. But literally anywhere I would go is I don't care at all about the culture. I'm not like I don't want to go to museums. I don't want to like, you know, that's not why I go on vacation
We're gonna
personally.
have such a hard time when we have money and can actually go on vacations and balancing.
I know, because I just don't care. But I'm also not like I'm not invested enough in Japan to be fetishizing Japan. I don't know anything about anime or manga or any of the stereotypically like. The only thing I just like sushi, and I like I don't know, like I like Japan. I like the feel of Japan, but I'm not
That was
into it
one of the
enough to be fetishizing it. Brandon would be way closer to fetishizing Japan, I think.
I'm not sure he'd love you saying that on the internet. That doesn't quite go with how he wants to be presented.
Well, I mean, no, plenty of people,
especially since he's not even on the podcast.
No, but plenty.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, how many people want to go like teach English in Japan, or like it's people who are fans of the culture,
Oh.
like anime and manga and whatever. I don't even. Are those both Japanese? I could be totally just putting my foot in my mouth here.
They are, but like that's like
Okay.
such a small part of the culture.
I mean, that's why I can't be fetishizing it, because I don't know enough about the culture. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
think what Ty was also asking was it surface level? Was it just being there so you can say, oh, I went to Japan and look at these photos I took, how cool is that, without actually...
No, I mean, we don't care about that. It was just we thought we could have the most fun in Japan.
Right.
Like you
Yeah,
said,
I
it
think-
wasn't at all about, oh, we want to be cool and say that we went to Japan.
Yeah, I think in the end, you know, actually, Eggs, I think you said it right. Like, you know, you probably hit the nail on the head there. Like, yeah, we really didn't pick Japan because we had some like, you know, deep desire to really delve into the culture or anything. It really was kind of like, you know, just an excuse or something to get to all get together and have a good time. But at the same time, I do think like we did kind of go off the beaten track. We did in some places like, you know, engage or whatever.
Yeah, we
and-
definitely didn't do only the most kind of commercial things,
Yeah.
you know?
So,
it was very genuine to you guys. It's just, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone really goes on holiday, and I don't think anyone can fully immerse themselves and understand what it's like for 2 weeks. If you want to do that, you probably have to go for a longer period of time.
And you have to
Yeah.
have like a big,
You
know,
probably-
if
you have
someone
to know
was
someone there,
if someone
surely.
had a PhD in Egyptology and then they went to Giza, that might be
Yeah.
much more, you know, because they already have so much context. But like, you know, anywhere I go, I'm not gonna have any context other than it's warm, it's cold.
Especially
speak
since
English.
you don't know the language.
Yeah.
You really can't fully immerse yourself unless you know someone there who can show you around.
Right. I mean, so Eggs, do you like? So you kind of touched on this earlier. Do you, when you go on vacation, is that what you do? You try and like, you know, really immerse yourself? What is, or are you like Jack? Like clearly Jack is on one really extreme.
It'll be interesting to see. I've never been on a holiday outside of going on holidays with my family. And when growing up, my parents put a huge emphasis on us traveling. So that's sort of where a big chunk of our money went, was sort of investing in our holidays. So we went to loads of places, and it would be a good balance, I think. Also, given we were quite young, you can't entertain kids at a museum for very long, but we would have a balance of living going somewhere where you did have more of the history and learning about the history and the culture and the people, and then also activities to engage kids. So we did one holiday in Wyoming, and we had 1 week on a
Wow.
dude ranch, which was absolutely incredible. It was so fun. And then just another week up in the mountains. When we went to Brazil, we went all over the place. But yeah, my parents did a good job of balancing it a little bit. But I don't know if I would say totally immerse. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, to be honest. But I do like to get a sense of the history and read up on it while I'm there. And then, depending on the place, go to either museums or the national parks or something.
Here's a related segue. Let's say, you know, hypothetically you were to go to a poor country like Vietnam and stay with, you know, the true people of the poor areas, and you know that's very much authentic and very much immersion in the lifestyles of you know the real people who live there outside of like the tourist trap areas. But at what point does it sort of become, you know, white savior fetishizing, or you know, oh, like it's super interesting how these poor people,
let me live here for a week and see what it's like and then go back to my plush home.
Isn't it so cool how these poor people live in huts? That was a really cool experience.
Yeah. So I actually have a little bit of like because Eggs, I would say my family did the same thing. Like a lot of like I think my parents put a lot more value on like going on trips and stuff than like, I don't know, buying me an Xbox or
Yeah.
something like that,
I think we had a
So like
hand-me-down
we ended up
PlayStation
going
2 when there was a PlayStation 10 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
PlayStation 10,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's how much I know about those.
Dude, if you've got a PlayStation 10, ship it to me,
The
man. I wanna see
PlayStation
that.
5 is shipping right now. So
Yeah. Oh,
Eggs
yeah,
is
that's
from
right.
the 50 years into the future.
Yeah. God, I would hate to think of how bad it is then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyway, we did kind of the same thing, and I don't know, I still do that now. I mean, before the pandemic, I did a lot of traveling with my girlfriend, um, and like spent all, So, but what was funny is that like when I started traveling with my girlfriend and not with my parents, where like I was had to pay for all this stuff,
Mhm.
like my girlfriend and I are both like super cheap. So
Yeah.
we have gone to like a lot of like really cheaper countries and stayed in like the cheapest places that we can stay. And so usually that means like not being in like the super touristy areas and instead just like being in an Airbnb or something that's like, behind somebody's house, like, half an hour outside of the city and stuff, which
Those
like
can
kind of
often
suck.
no, they can work really well because then again, you're sort of meeting someone who lives locally who can actually give you
Yeah.
genuinely good ideas of things to do, things to
Yeah.
see.
For sure. I think that was what I was kinda saying. I was like, it's sort of interesting to, like, kind of experience that and stuff. It The other side of that, I think it is, like I feel like I've been a lot more immersed on a lot of trips like that, like, where we had to kind of, like, wander around and, like, go off the beaten track and, like, you know, you c I don't know, you get away from, like, the very, like, pampered, like, hotel areas and
Mm.
stuff like that, and but at the same time, it is, like it also becomes a lot harder to, like, vacation that way, like, it becomes stressful because you're
I
trying to figure things
completely
out.
that's exactly what I was gonna say, and I think if they're having the same conversation, Celio is gonna say exactly what I'm gonna say, which is that like I'm not, I work my ass off all the time, and then I take a vacation. I don't want to be, you know, in the dirt or fucking, I want to be
Yeah.
pampered. I want to have a good time. I want to like eat good food. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like, wow, it's so, culturally fun and look at all this like stressful travel and like I
Yeah.
want it to be pretty easy. I don't
Yeah.
like the stress of traveling.
I have one this is, like, such a tiny gripe, but, I wanna bring it up because I spent a couple of months in New Zealand. I was supposed to spend a year in New Zealand. I wanted to spend at least a year in New Zealand,
I
but it
thought it
ended
was
up
gonna
being
be
a
a
couple months.
lifetime in New Zealand, but
Yeah, I was really hoping
I
for it
knew
to be
you
like
Ty
were
was
really going for it when you left. I remember talking to you in
Oh,
Chicago,
yeah.
and you were like, "I really think this is it. I don't
I
see
told
coming
everybody
back."
this man is gonna be back in like 12 weeks.
Yeah, to be honest, you let me
Yeah,
down,
I
Ty.
didn't even make it 12
rooting for you.
weeks.
I was rooting for you. I was like, no, you got to cut him some slack. He's doing this. He's really passionate about it.
Yeah.
He's gonna make it work.
Yeah,
And
eggs was on your side, but
I was
I knew.
trying.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so what actually was the issue was that it just ended up being, like, too stressful. There was, like, a few mistakes that we made kind of in the process that made it more stressful than it needed to be, but it ended up just being up, like, a really stressful experience, and, like but, one of, like, the weirdly stressful things was and Eggs, you may have some insight into this, maybe not at all. But, like, over there, I guess in a lot of other countries, they don't use dryers. Like, they just, like, hang their clothes on, like, like, those little clothes hangers or,
Yeah, I thought that
like
was a normal thing. Is that not a thing in America?
What?
that is
No, are you kidding?
absolutely not a thing.
But it
Oh
ruins
my
your
god, it is
clothes.
absolutely
Oh
not a
my
Wait,
god.
no, the dryer shrinks your clothes. That's why you hang them up. We
What do
don't
you
have
mean?
space to do it right now, but when I have a house, I'm gonna
Are
have
you
one.
kidding? We're never hanging anything up.
It's better for the
Dude,
clothes.
If we can pay for somebody to, I'm not gonna waste my fucking time like this
No,
is
of course you're not.
oh
but
my unbelievable.
We're having one. It's better. It's the
Oh
clothes last
no.
longer. They don't get as damaged. Hey, you
Oh
know that
no,
I'm
you guys are gonna
frugal.
get divorced and it's gonna be my fault.
Hey,
No,
she
I'm so
hangs them
glad I
up.
brought
That's
this up.
fine. I'm never.
Let's say, as long
Dude,
as Jack doesn't have to do anything.
we
he doesn't
had this
mind.
problem in Japan. Remember?
It's not a
Oh,
problem.
yeah,
It's very normal.
In Japan, they have dryers, but only like the spin dryers with no heat, and they don't work at all. Yeah, but the problem is if
Right.
you're traveling between place to place, you don't have 72 hours to wait for your shit to dry, and then it rains
It doesn't
outside.
need to be 72
doesn't make any
hours.
sense.
Just leave it up overnight.
Why did we
It-
have progress? Why did we invent technology?
It's better for the
This was-
environment. I know you care about this. It's better for the environment.
This is why I could never live anywhere except America
Oh my
because
God.
every other
also-
country
I
is
love
like
the
this.
environment. I love the environment, but as soon as we realized this was a thing, we were like, "Oh fuck no!"
It's not that big a deal.
It's
Instead
really
of
a
putting
big
it dry,
deal.
It's takes not that much more. You just hang it up, and then the next day you fold it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Eggs.
Yeah.
Life is hard, okay? And like
Don't
look at
wa-
us. Look at us. We used to hand wash every single plate and dish, okay? And then at some point, it just wears you down and you say, "Fuck it. We're just using the dishwasher for everything now." Because you just like, why waste another 25 minutes of my
I'm
life?
telling you, it's not going to take 25 minutes.
I promise you
it's like
it
an
does.
extra You've never done this in your
Oh,
entire life. Stop patronizing me about
Oh
something
my
you've
God.
never done.
Yeah, but I don't even fold my clothes. I just hang them
No,
up in
you
my
don't.
closet, and
I
it takes at least like 15 minutes.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
dude.
And Ty is saying
But
this
so-
was a problem.
Yeah,
It's a-
so
it's a
I will
thing.
say this, Eggs. To be fair, okay, I'll say this. Like now that I know that this is a thing, and like that other countries don't really use dryers, like, and I've lived with this fact for like a year now in my mind. I mean, it was
Girl, how are you
honestly a
handling it?
shock at first. It was a shock at first. I'm getting used to it. I'm like, okay, like maybe I could do this. It's really not that bad. But like at first, it was like such a like. We stayed at various Airbnbs and like we stayed at we got like hosted by some people, and like every time like there wouldn't be a dryer, or like sometimes we'd like throw our clothes in the dryer and like the host or like the person would like take the clothes out of the dryer or like kind of reprimand us for using the dryer, and it was just like this
What?
like it was like a weird thing, and it became kind of stressful. Like it's hard to explain. Like one of the places we were staying in,
That would have pissed me off.
like it was always raining, and so like our clothes never fully dried. Like they all smelled like it was just such a shock from like going. Like I literally have never had to do that except for like the occasional piece of clothing where it's like you can't tumble dry it or whatever. Like just hanging up to dry it. But like I never had to do that in my life.
I don't understand. That is like the least understandable thing to me. One of the greatest like measurements of human progress is how many things we can automate and how much time humans have for recreation. What am I, a hunter or gatherer that I'm spending my time trying to get my clothes dry, and then I'm like, oh, it rained.
You
I guess
guys
I
are
just
blowing
won't
this
have
up
any
out
clothes.
of proportion. We had ours in our washroom. So we just had like 2 lines up on the roof that you could pull down.
There's no
You
way
hang
that
the
stuff
clothes.
dried that quick.
Yes, it did. Not
don't
as
believe
quick
it.
as the dryer, but when do you need some? And we did have a dryer,
Yeah.
so if you needed it immediately, like that morning, you put it in over breakfast and have it ready for school. But it worked
Right.
perfectly fine. You leave it up overnight, and then in the morning you can come and fold it up.
But here's what I will tell you. I think this sort of like widespread mental flaw has actually led them to create something good, which is, and something I've never seen in America, the heated towel hangers. Because when I was in Eggs's house, I was like, this is insane. The towel hangers are heated. That's genius.
Well, it's a
That's-
radiator.
What? No. Like the thing where you hang the towel.
Yeah, it's just like it's a
heated.
spaced up radiator. Yes, it's heated like a radiator is.
Yeah.
Radiators.
But I wasn't hanging my
Yeah.
towel on the radiator.
Well, that's what a lot of other people do. So they have these clothes hangers that you can hook onto your radiator, and then you
Oh, that's
fold
nice.
like towels or pajamas over that so they warm up.
I don't know. And then your house just looks like garbage.
It's not. You
It's
don't
just
put it
not
in
a
your
good.
living room and kitchen.
This just seems normal to
Welcome
you.
to my house. Here are my clothes
this
hanging
just
up.
seems normal to you because you're used to this. But think about
This
this.
thing's abnormal to you because you don't use it.
Think about this for like any
Yeah.
other application of something that you do normally, okay? And from like thinking of first principles, it fundamentally makes no sense. Like what washing clothes? Why don't I just take out my washboard and it's better
Will
for my
you
clothes.
stop
It's better for the
exaggerating?
environment.
It doesn't take that long.
It's a fallacy.
I think
It's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy.
listen. What's funny about this eggs, like, so I feel like Jack, I totally understand, because I was like, what you're saying was exactly what we were saying when we were over there. Like, we both were like aghast at the lack of dryers and like the lack. It was insane. But my point being was that like it was just this, like, now I can think like, okay, it's like that's a pretty small thing. It is something like you have to get used to a little bit. It's like a little counterintuitive. I think the analogy to like the washboard is actually a good analogy. I have had to
Are you
wash my
kidding?
clothes by.
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah,
to
that
wash my
takes
clothes by hand.
forever. That's not
They
the
don't.
same as
What are
hanging
you
It doesn't
talking
actually
about?
take that
It
long.
doesn't take forever.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't take
actually-
that long at all. It doesn't even take. It takes less time to wash your clothes by hand than it does like in the washer. It's just the time that you have
That's
to
true.
spend.
Yeah, but
yeah.
you're not doing
it's
it
faster.
when you put it in the washer. All you have to do, the time that you take is like 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Same with
but
the
when you're
2
drying
minutes
them by
takes,
hand,
like,
you
10
have to, especially if you're drying them outside, you have to take the little clothespins and put a couple of clothespins on every piece of clothing. And
No,
I've got
you
like
don't. Not on every
I've got
piece
like
of
20
clothing.
pieces
do.
of clothing. Yeah.
You only have to do it
So
for the
anyway,
socks and the underwear.
Anyway, the point is that it was a small thing that it adds stress, and like that stress like like contributes to like a little bit of a harder time. Like little things, like the little culture shock things, like can take a like a trip where you're supposed to be relaxed and turn it into like, I don't know, just add something unnecessary to it, which I think is why like those hotel like we have when you go on a vacation, like there's these tourist trap areas, and like there's these fancy hotels that like will like cater to every single like nationality, and have breakfasts that have like, have you been to like those places where like they have every single
Yeah.
type of like nationality's breakfast like
Yeah.
laid out, which I think is just like hilarious. It's like, why not just have like like the local cuisine breakfast? Like, it's just breakfast.
I agree with that.
But I think,
Yeah, they should just have the local. But I think like what you're
well, to
saying.
some people, they're like, "Oh my god, I can't have eggs for breakfast. Like, this is insane."
Where are my pancakes?
Like, I don't know.
I think we did experience this in Japan, and it definitely did create stress. Especially because we ended up just eating a lot of our meals at the Japanese 7-Eleven, but not the 7-Eleven in Japan. What was it called? Family Mart?
Yeah,
So
Family
we would,
Mart.
because a lot of the actual authentic restaurants, we had such a hard time ordering and communicating that it created a lot of stress in the group, especially like when we first got there, finding the restaurant
yeah.
and ordering or knowing what to order and the pricing and splitting the check. You can't just say in Japan,
yeah.
"Hey, split the check." They don't know what you're saying, and then you're trying to use like the Google, and it just adds things like that, add
Yeah.
stress. And then also, I felt like by the end of our 2 weeks or whatever, I was missing the culture of America, in the sense that the culture in Japan is so overtly submissive, and it was kind of like bugging me after a while how it was like a small culture shock. I mean, it was a big culture shock, but it didn't bother me until like a week and a half in or whatever. Just stuff.
Yeah.
People don't cross the street at all unless all the lights are green, like for walking, the crosswalk lights. It's really weird. Stuff like that where I'm just like, just go. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, just use your eyes and walk. Like, why is there so much like social consciousness here? America is too far, but
That's-
Japan was like,
That's
I felt weird
that's
there.
so American of you. That's
It is very American. But I think even in places where, like Hannah will say, or Eggs will say, in Britain versus America, you know, that doesn't seem like something that's much different. But the longer you live somewhere, you see that it's actually quite different culturally. Even though
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're like, well, they're both white people, they speak English, they're pretty developed countries, like what's the difference? But it's just a lot of things are significantly different.
Yeah, I always get shocked when I kind of forget about it until I go or I'm with other British people. And I'm like, oh, this is so much more relaxing to me. It's just because it's familiar.
Being in
It's just-
Britain or being with British people?
Yeah, it's a different tone.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys also have
that makes
different-
sense.
You have different rules about eating. You have different rules about, you know, they take forever to eat. They don't, you know, like
I
the
like
quick.
that.
They
Yes,
take forever to
right?
eat. They don't want waiters to always ask them how they're doing. Whereas in America, it's the opposite. They don't
Aren't
like.
you referencing one time? Like,
I am, but it's also just like their culture
It
generally,
is a cultural thing.
and they eat much later than we do as well.
That's true. That I
Like
don't
we would
like.
get dinner with her parents, and I'm like, it's like 10:30 p.m. Like,
Okay,
are
it's
we
never
gonna?
that late? Because I go to bed at 9.
No,
It's
we
usually, like,
would. We would go
7.
out to eat at 8 and be done at like 10:30 maybe.
7.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really bother me, but
that's-
it's just different.
have you like I mean, have you guys been to like France and stuff? Because it's really bad in France and Spain.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like places don't even open until like 9.
What?
Like,
Yeah, it's really, really
Yeah.
different.
Man, I would have
I don't
acid
know.
reflux out the ass there, man.
What's
gotta-
actually good about that, if you can time it with the like with the oh my gosh, jet lag. So like you just make it so that like you switch your entire schedule to be like 3 hours later than you would normally would,
Yeah.
and like
I
you know,
guess,
you
yeah.
end up eating at the same time as the locals. So Eggs, like you moved to America for college, right? That was the first time you came here, or
I've been
Or,
on
like-
holiday, but yes, I moved for college.
damn.
6
Wait,
years ago.
I actually want to know. So you've been here on a holiday. What was
Mhm.
that like? I mean, you said you went to Wyoming? Was
I
that
did, yeah.
before you moved here? Oh
That
man,
was the first time I went. I don't have no idea how old I was there. We were young though. I was little.
wow. And so you guys just like looked at a brochure. I was like, "Come visit Wyoming."
I actually don't know what prompted the trip. My dad had. I don't think this prompted it, but my dad he really likes photography, and there's this incredible picture taken in the Teton Mountains in Wyoming, and I think he also wanted in part to try and like replicate that almost, because that was a big part of the
Ah.
first week when we stayed up in the mountains in this gorgeous place. Was him and my younger brother got up really, really early and drove up to all of these locations to take these amazing photos.
That definitely seems like a reason that would prompt your dad to do that, actually. That
I'm
seems
not
like
sure.
exactly why that would happen.
But like it was also just
To
a fun
recreate a
trip.
photo.
And
Yeah.
we went to like
She-
Yellowstone. We went to Yellowstone at one point, which is like a big thing for a lot of people like to see. And then there was the week on the Dude Ranch with the horses, which was
I mean, do you
awesome.
guys, I'm an idiot, but do you guys have mountains in Britain?
Not like that.
Yeah,
But
so I
yes,
mean,
we
like,
do.
that's so normal to us, but for you guys, it's probably like, wow, we can go see mountains.
The highest. Okay, so the highest
We're
mountain.
next to France, and we'd been skiing at this
I guess,
point.
yeah,
so...
you have mountains in Europe.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so the Alps are like. I mean, the
Yeah.
Alps are like mega mountain. Like, I mean, there are some like mountains in the Alps that are like just like totally would dwarf.
Who has the
anything,
biggest
like, in the
mountain?
Continental.
What's the biggest mountain? I know
Mount
you know this.
Everest.
In the States or in?
In the world.
Do you actually
Dude,
not know this?
Of course you know
I don't.
this.
I mean, I would
I
guess
just
Mount
whispered
Everest.
it to you, so
yeah, of course
What,
it's Mount Everest. dude.
Kilimanjaro.
that's not the biggest.
Kilimanjaro is like 20,000 feet. Mount Everest is 29,000.
No,
That's why it's such a big deal to also because it's
so I climb Mount Everest. Yeah,
freezing.
I mean, yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't tell you what country Mount Everest is in. Is it in Asia?
it's in 3 countries. No, I'm sorry, it's in 2 countries.
Is it
in
in
2 countries.
Is it in China?
It's in China and Nepal.
I'm actually surprised I knew that.
Yeah.
That's something
So
I
Mount
didn't
Everest,
consciously know, but I just guessed and it sounded right.
basically, like the Himalaya is like where basically all like the really really big mountains, like that's where basically all of like the above 22,000 feet, like so the upper echelon is like the Himalayas, and then the Andes and comes like pretty much next, and then the Alps, and then like there's smatterings of other like big mountains everywhere. But what I was gonna say was that in Britain the highest mountain is like I think 3,500 feet, and that's like yeah, that's like nothing compared to uh like the Tetons. Like the Tetons are like 15,000 feet.
I mean,
Or not 15, 14,
isn't Denver? How high is Denver?
13. Denver's at like 6,000 or 7,000 feet.
Yeah, so
like
like Denver. Well, it's like a mile high, isn't it? How many feet are in a mile?
Bro, I'm not gonna give you the
Is
answer
it
to that.
5,280 or 2,580?
It's like 10 feet in a mile. No, that's not true.
10
no,
feet in a
10
mile?
feet in a meter.
Okay, it's also
10
not
feet in a
10
mile.
feet in a meter.
It's about.
No.
It's 5,280 feet. Oh my god. I can't believe neither of you know
No,
that.
I said
Why would I
5,280.
know about feet? I grew up in England
Also,
where we use
eggs.
the right metric.
Yeah, you
Eggs, there's, like-
invented feet.
There's like
You
3 in it.
invented feet in England.
I never used feet when I was in England.
Well, you don't use it, but you invented it. There's like
Well,
3.5
why'd you go to the
feet in a
trouble of
meter.
inventing it?
There was not 10 feet in a meter. 10 feet is a basketball hoop, is a regulation basketball hoop.
Dude, a regulation basketball hoop is not 10 feet wide.
Yeah, no, it
No,
is
he's
because
messing with you. It's 10 feet tall. 3 feet is about a meter. It's a little bit less than a meter.
3 meters was that makes actually more sense. Yeah.
3 meters is what,
3
12
meters
feet?
is like 10 feet. 3 meters
Yeah,
is
no,
like
you're
10.
right. 3 meters is
Yeah.
like 12 feet. That's the only way I
Yeah.
knew feet because I knew how high the 3-meter diving board was in feet, give or take.
Nice. So anyway, they have mountains, but they're kind of small.
Yeah,
Like-
the little baby ones.
Little humps. They're like little pimples of the earth.
What's actually funny is that so like Scotland has such bad weather though that like there's a lot of really good British like mountaineers because they like just practice on like these really tiny but like seriously bad weather places, and then they just go to like they take it to like bigger places.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Anyway, the more you know. So that's just it's weird to me to think that like eggs you went to like you would come to America being somewhere being from Britain that you would be like, oh, exotic Wyoming.
I'm not sure any of us thought it was exotic.
Foreign
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
It was
Yeah.
great. And then we went
What-
to
what-
California right before we came. Well, on the way to coming to college, I took a trip to California.
That is not on the way to the East Coast at all.
It's not. It
We
was
went
really
there.
we bypassed the East Coast, went to California, and then came back.
Yeah. What was the thing that has like culturally shocked you the most, and or is there something that still culturally
Can I
shocks you?
guess?
All
I
right,
think
yeah,
I
you
can
guess
guess the right
first.
answer.
I think you're gonna know. I say this a fair amount.
Guns.
Oh no, but that is real. That's so weird to me. I hate it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's
okay, you'll
actually
have
really
to
freaky
explain.
to me. Like even our police, like the police on the streets, do not have guns. I never
Oh.
saw a gun before coming to the US.
I mean, have you seen a gun here?
Yeah, because your police have them.
Oh, I guess, yeah. That's fair. I do see
that
guns on
scared me
police.
so much on campus, just sort of seeing all these people just walking around with guns. Wait, what is that? Doesn't make any sense to me.
But
It's
in
so
France,
dangerous.
doesn't everybody have like serious rifles?
I don't know. I don't know.
I've
No.
seen. I remember when I
I
was
don't
in
think-
France, people were walking around with like assault rifles. I think that was at a time where there was like terrorist threats and things. Actually,
Oh,
There
that
must
was
have been
that
a
around
reason.
like 2015?
yeah,
Or-
maybe, or
gonna
no,
say, I've
earlier than
never-
that. Probably like 2011.
I did not have that
2012.
experience when I was in
But I
France.
definitely saw it in other places in Europe. But yeah, Britain.
Maybe
But
if
no,
you go
we
to
don't
like the
have guns.
really touristy areas or something where like they might
Yeah.
suspect
Like the guys, I
something
saw
like that
guys in like
happening.
camo berets. I think it was in France.
Oh yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be like the military or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, wait. I mean, eggs. Just wait until you like run into people who just like walk around with their guns or like open carry
Yeah.
states and things like that. Oh my
So
god,
scary.
it is scary. It is actually scary. My girlfriend's grandpa, who's like old and frail and like can like likes to like walk with a cane. He carries around a little man purse with a gun in it all the time.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really
So,
don't
okay,
get
so-
America's obsession with guns.
But what were you gonna say though?
I would say the news
Oh yeah.
because well, we don't in England. Well, I mainly use the BBC as my news outlet, which is regulated, so it can't say whatever it wants. It is a not as much as possible an unbiased source of news. And I think it actually really hit when it came to the election time. But the fact that the news here is incredibly biased and it's very much opinions is very strange to me. I'm not sure if that
Yeah.
really counts as a cultural thing, but that was one of the biggest.
I mean, that's definitely a
No, that
cultural
definitely does.
Yeah, freedom
Yeah,
of speech.
for sure.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's like hard for me to even conceive of like why that would be strange. Like it just is the way. Like this is just it definitely I will say though, like it definitely has gotten a lot worse in the last few
Yeah,
years, which is when you
Yeah, since you
But,
got
like,
here, it's been
No,
way
it's- yeah.
worse.
It definitely always though. It definitely always has been like, like very like politicized. Like the news has definitely
Yeah.
never been apolitical.
I mean, in
Yeah.
my theory about this, which I think will be proven correct, is that we're sort of in the death throes of, I mean, we certainly are in the death throes of television news, and thus, it's just like any other media outlet. They have to court an audience, a particular
Yeah.
audience, and pander to that audience in order to retain watch time. So it's become very much targeted entertainment. Whereas, before there was no competition from, there were 4 news channels and you watched those channels. Nobody was listening to Joe Rogan or whoever else the fuck, There was no reason
Yeah.
to court an audience.
I will say, you know what, actually, it's indicative. Like, when I went to, or like Europe for the first time, and like BBC, no matter what country you're in, like they'll always usually have the BBC somewhere on some channel, and
Yeah.
like how boring it is to me. I'm like, wow, this is so
Well, it's
boring.
meant to be.
I know.
Exactly.
That's
Those are
why.
just
It's because they're
facts.
not opinions at all. It's people actually just stating facts. And you're like,
It's
well, this is
amazing.
boring.
It's just a completely weird concept.
Yeah, it really is.
The question is if it will ever get to a point at which there, becomes a great enough consumer demand in America for that kind of
Mm.
service. I think, unfortunately, the answer may be no,
No.
because I think a lot of people don't even have the ability to understand what that service would sort of look like. Because to many people, let's say the New York Times, to its millions of subscribers, is exactly that service, when in reality we all realize that that's not a completely unbiased source.
I mean, and
No,
neither
you
is
know?
the BBC. Nothing is completely unbiased, but just because there is a regulating body that does say, all right, you can't actually publish this, this is too much of an opinion piece.
Yeah, that's the reason the BBC is boring. But I think anything would evolve in America to be less boring and thus less
Yeah.
objective.
And to be fair, the New York Times is like not even close to as unbiased as the BBC. I feel like I can
No.
No, yeah, not even
reliably
close.
go. Yeah, I can reliably every single day at least like 70% of like their opinion pieces will just be anti-Trump opinion pieces.
On the New York Times.
Like, yeah, and
At least 70%.
Yeah, I mean,
I
but
remember
not
the-
even like about other shit, like just about that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it doesn't matter
Yeah, not
what is
70,
going
30
on in the world.
pro-Trump, anti-Trump, just 70% anti-Trump rant, 30%
30%
other
everything
news.
else.
Yeah, other news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What categories do we have today? Trump, other news.
I can I can literally tell you. I mean, like, I'm already looking, and yep, it's pretty much that. It's like it's
Sells
like
right
all
now.
that, and then there's one opinion piece on black coffee. Oh no, it was about Ruth. Oh, I'm wrong. Her black coffee always brewed strong. We clerked for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's a marketing thing.
The
Never
funny
mind.
thing is actually that Trump's presidency has probably been amazing for like New York Times, Fox, all of them, CNN, etc., because people have such a strong
He's so
opinion.
polarizing.
Exactly, and he is like, what would you write about if Trump didn't exist? Journalists don't even remember times pre-Trump. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to write about if every day Trump doesn't say we should massacre the poors? Or, you know what I mean? You'd have to
Yeah.
actually do work. That's
Not
crazy.
just check Twitter.
Yeah, you'd have to uncover a source and like follow a lead. You wouldn't just be able to open up Trump and Kanye Twitter and then post whatever you find. It's just
Yeah.
literally, I just see all the stories I see on Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere. It's just like somebody tweeted something. I'm like, what's your fucking value? Why are you here?
I hate it.
I have
hate
Twitter.
I hate it when they'll quote tweets and articles like in
Yeah.
all sorts of different like blank tweeted like this, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't care what he tweeted.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of the articles I read are not even articles anymore. It's like it'll be like, you know, this building burned down in Georgia, and then the article is just 11 quoted tweets from people saying, "Wow, crazy that the building burned down."
There's a proper way to cite tweets now as well, like
Really?
APA. They had to figure it out because there's so many people wanted to use it.
Yeah,
That's funny.
I don't know. I feel like there's a gap in like the unbiased news source and then in the really good investigative journalism. And like there's been some, but I don't know, it feels like a lot of it is just telling something that everybody already knows to everybody.
That's the
So-
internet though for you. Like everything
Yeah.
spreads so quickly that it's quite hard to do the investigation.
But it used to be, and it sometimes still is, where journalists will uncover new things, you
Right,
know? And
but,
to the
like-
New York Times credit, they have done something. I think it was either BuzzFeed or the New York Times that helped uncover the concentration camps in China, because on the QQ Maps application, there were just places in China that were like algorithmically blocked and you couldn't see particular coordinates. So then they just found all of the algorithmically blocked coordinates, and then coincidentally those all happened to be where the concentration camps were. So like that was an example of someone who actually found new information and did something and then made an article about it.
Yeah. The problem is like they have to have like 10 reporters doing like
Yeah,
you know just like tweet stories just to fund one person's actual investigative.
that is true. Yeah.
So
Because
I
there's-
have one. I was gonna go back to the original kind of like travel question, culture shock, like that sort of conversation. I have one more question for you guys. And once this like, so actually, you guys had a honeymoon, like a trip planned that
Yeah.
got canceled because of this whole COVID thing.
Please don't remind
but
us.
what-
We're
And
still
also our
crying
wedding.
about it.
Yeah, that too.
Less important.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
wedding.
But I mean, so what I was gonna ask was like, what is like when travel opens back up? Like, are you gonna like jump to go travel somewhere? And if so, like, where do you want to travel to most?
With what time and money?
I mean,
Oh, shit,
we'll
that's
have money to
right.
do it, but because obviously, like, you know, we can get some help for the honeymoon, but it's really like when Eggs has time. But when she does, we're gonna we're thinking either we're gonna go to Hawaii and do We were talking about this earlier, actually. It's really just, do you want to do the super relaxing, classic resort, beach, chill,
With the hikes.
snorkeling, hiking, Hawaii, or do you want to do, more stressful kind of? I think we might go either Japan or Hawaii, to be honest,
We
or I don't
talked
know.
about Europe as well.
Or
Why?
potentially like the villa places in Europe that have villas or whatever you can rent on Airbnb. But I don't
Yeah.
really know if we would. I kind of feel like the honeymoon I feel like I want to do the most relaxing thing possible.
I don't
know what
know.
that
I feel like
means.
I feel like after like being cooped up for so long.
That's also
like,
true, that's very true. It
I want
depends.
to go out and like see something like super crazy or super different.
We
you
might
know?
not be able to do it for
a
a few
long
years
time,
is the
though.
thing. So, but if we were going to
Years.
go now, I think we would definitely go somewhere that's, more energy. We'll probably
Right.
go after Eggs finishes school, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna have
Ugh.
a decent amount of time otherwise.
I mean, yeah, because we
Oh.
need at least 10 days to do the honeymoon, so.
You
And
don't
it-
have 10 days to spare between now and how long? How many years of school do you have left?
2 more. 3, 2
Three
to
more.
3. 2.5.
3 more years. So between
more.
in the next 3 years, you couldn't scrape 10 days together.
That's what she says. I
Okay,
don't know if
well,
it's true.
no, I've said. So my point is that within these next 3 years, I don't know enough about fourth year to say, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to be studying for a large portion of that time. So even over Christmas, I'll have 10 days.
Oh no, we're being raided.
Ah!
Oh, we're being raided.
You're being raided by the other
Oh
podcast.
no.
Yeah.
We've been.
This is the crossover episode.
How did your guys' podcast go? We mostly were talking about travel and
Did you
Really?
guys
It was
talk
bad.
about washing up,
It was
hanging
awful.
your
It
washing
was
up?
pretty bad. I don't know. The first part was all right. We were talking about Japan.
Nice.
I don't have the energy, dude. Are you guys still recording?
We
Yeah,
are
we're
still
still
going
recording.
strong, dude. We got
You
We
know,
gotta-
ever since my cocaine dealer got caught by the police, I
See, there's
don't
been
have
out
the
of
energy to continue. Exactly.
Selling
I'm trying
you
to,
energy.
get myself up with coffee. It's just not the same, dude.
Wait, hold on. I want to extend the question to everybody here, and we can like end on the question. I'm asking, like, when like things finally open up, like, are you itching to go out and travel somewhere, and if so, where? And I think Eggs and Jack are saying they would go to either Europe, Japan, or Hawaii.
In the
right?
context of our honeymoon as well, specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
can
mean,
I
yeah,
come
'cause
with
if
you
you
guys
just said
to your
in
honeymoon?
general,
Yeah, we wouldn't go to Hawaii for a reason other than
I
our
want to go to
honeymoon.
Europe because I've been to Asia twice now, and Canada when I was like 8.
Wait,
And
what
it's
was your?
time to go to Europe.
I'm sorry, but what was your answer, Jack?
Well, we were talking about when we're able to do our honeymoon again, so we were saying
Right.
we'd either go to Hawaii or Japan or like
Can you guys hear
tropical
him?
Europe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
So-
what's wrong.
So for me,
I feel
it's
like Grant
also
is super
Hawaii,
lagged.
tropical Europe, or Japan as well.
Wait,
Wow,
tropical
wait.
Europe.
Yeah, I mean like warm
We
Europe.
were
where you
talking
could-
about Malta.
Oh, dude, I would be down. I actually am with Grant. I would go back to like normally I would go somewhere like crazy, but I have a hankering for Europe. Like I think Europe's
Malta.
the first place I
wait,
want to hit
so
up.
when you
Yeah.
guys say Europe, whereabouts in
We
Europe?
found that
Because
Airbnb
there's
in
a
Malta
lot.
that was like a
feel like Grant
6-bedroom
can't
like
hear us.
mansion on a hill for like $80 a night.
Dude, sounds good to me. Fuck it, let's do it. Malta.
I don't know
Yeah,
where
like-
Malta is.
We just have
Yeah.
to get past the absolutely horrible local language.
Yeah. Maltese.
Yeah, if you thought it was
Wait, is that
if
like
you
that
thought it was hard to
Falcon?
communicate in Japan, communicating in Malta.
No
Bro.
one laugh. It was a bad joke. He needs to be punished.
The
It'll be much
Maltese.
better in Malta probably than Japan, honestly.
Why?
Because
Yeah.
all they do is like entertain
tourism?
tourists from
Yeah.
Italy and Greece, and I mean, I would
Wow.
be super down also to go to Greece.
Greece is
Isn't Greece
beautiful.
right by Malta?
Sicily, yeah.
Well, yeah, I count Greece as tropical Europe. I
Yeah.
include Greece
Okay.
and tropical
I
Europe.
don't know if there is a tropical Europe.
Yeah, I'm not
but
entirely sure what that means.
But you know what I
Greece
mean.
and
You know,
Italy-
like the people who post on Instagram that they're, in somewhere fancy and it's warm. That's what I classify as.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of fancy
I mean,
places.
because
So-
it gets hot. in the
So
summer.
I'm on the Malta Airbnb right now. There is a 7-guest home in Salima, 200 meters to the beach, $64 a night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, total?
Oh
Yes.
wow, dude.
Not
Oh,
per
hook me.
person total.
Count me in. Oh man.
Yeah, we're doing Malta. The downside is I don't think there's a lot of
Dingley.
non-stops from Chicago to Malta though. So we're probably gonna have to transfer somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's the dream. We can transfer like through Spain or something and go.
Dude,
I would
That would
imagine
be dope.
Frankfurt has got to have flights, right?
that would be dope. Like going through like France or Spain or somewhere, like stay like
Dude.
a couple nights and then go straight into Malta. That would be
Yeah,
sick.
we could even go to Rome, and then go like down to Sicily, and then end on Malta.
Dude.
Yeah.
dream.
We gotta
I don't
stop
know.
doing this. I like it's gonna be like as Jack said, it's gonna be like years before we can do this.
2022 trip.
Here's the problem with Sicily.
2025.
If we go to Sicily, I'm going to spend the entire time just quoting Patton, like the film.
That's
I was like,
That's
how is
fine.
it that Grant has an opinion on every country in the entire world?
that's
Here's the problem with
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan.
All right, thank you for listening
Here's the
to
problem
WUUA
with-
TIB crossover plus
I'm
individuals.
just letting you know, you know.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys. We'll see you next week.